Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for joining me today. Imagine a world where money as we know it is obsolete, where decentralized, digital, and incorruptible currency becomes the backbone of global wealth. That world isn't tomorrow, it's emerging right now. Today, I bring you a message that sounds audacious, borderline unthinkable, but rooted in data, conviction, and clarity. Bitcoin is gearing for a monumental surge to 150. They hear this plainly. When the rocket takes off, most will be left behind. 99% of participants, those chasing hype, riding leverage, or lacking discipline, will be vaporized. They will be wrecked. The whales, those titans of capital who see beneath the surface, are already positioning. They are building while others panic. This is not fear-mongering. This is a wake-up call. Either you prepare or you're crushed. The world is standing at the edge of a financial transformation so profound that most people can't even comprehend it. For years, humanity has operated on broken systems, currencies that erode in value, economies that suffocate under inflation, and institutions that serve the few at the expense of the many. But beneath all the noise, a silent revolution has been building. It is mathematical, incorruptible, and inevitable. This revolution isn't about politics, geography, or ideology. It's about pure economic truth. It's about digital scarcity, about an anarchy stronger than any government or central bank, about the birth of sound money for the digital age. Bitcoin isn't just another investment. It's not a trade or a short-term bet. It's an idea, an unstoppable idea whose time has come. When you hold Bitcoin, you are holding the most powerful form of property ever created by humankind. It can't be inflated, can't be confiscated, and can't be counterfeited. It exists beyond borders, beyond regulation, beyond manipulation. Every Satoshi represents a piece of mathematical certainty in a world built on financial deceit. The journey to $150,000 isn't about a price target. It's about the inevitable repricing of the world's trust. When the global population realizes that the system they've relied upon is fundamentally flawed, there will be a rush, not into speculation, but into salvation. Because Bitcoin is not rising in price, fiat is falling in value, the illusion of stability in traditional finance is collapsing, one bailout, one debt ceiling, one quantitative easing cycle at a time. When that illusion shatters, Bitcoin stands as the lifeboat, and make no mistake, it will not wait for the doubters. The whales, the ones who truly understand, already see what's coming. They study liquidity flows, monetary policy shifts, and the macroeconomic tremors shaking the planet. They aren't emotional. They aren't chasing headlines. They are positioning quietly, strategically, because they know that once this digital network reaches its next critical mass, its gravitational pull becomes unstoppable. They are accumulating the hardest asset in existence, while the rest of the world is distracted by temporary noise and cheap speculation. There's a rhythm to every great transformation. First comes ridicule, then denial, then the slow acceptance by a few brave minds. And finally, the stampede of the masses. Bitcoin is now moving from the phase of recognition to inevitability. Institutional capital is flowing in, sovereign wealth funds are observing, and financial systems are bending to accommodate what they once dismissed. Every new participant that joins this network strengthens it. Every miner that adds hash power secures it, and every believer who holds through volatility reinforces its foundation. At $150,000, Bitcoin will not just be a financial asset, it will be a psychological revelation. It will represent the moment when the world begins to understand that value can exist outside of governments, that wealth can be self-custodied, and that trust can be built not on promises, but on code. But for that to happen, people must endure the storm. They must be willing to hold when others panic, to think when others react, and to believe when others doubt. The rise of Bitcoin is not a random market movement. It's the expression of a deep human desire for truth and autonomy. It's the convergence of mathematics, energy, and freedom. It's digital gravity. And just as gravity pulls all matter toward the center of mass, Bitcoin will pull all value toward itself. Fiat currencies will continue to lose purchasing power, institutions will continue to debase, and individuals will continue to search for safety. In that search, they will find Bitcoin not because they are told to, but because there is nowhere else to go. Every nation that prints its way out of debt is secretly accelerating Bitcoin's adoption. Every bank that manipulates interest rates is pushing more people toward digital sovereignty. Every crisis, every inflation report, every currency collapse, all of it drives humanity closer to the truth. This isn't just a cycle, it's a restructuring of global economics. Those who see it early will experience one of the greatest wealth transfers in history. Those who dismiss it will watch bewildered as their purchasing power dissolves. The choice isn't between Bitcoin and something else. It's between truth and illusion, between strength and decay. The future belongs to those who have the courage to see reality as it is, not as they wish it to be. Bitcoin is that reality. It doesn't care about opinions, politics, or narratives. It simply exists, producing block after block, relentlessly, without permission, without pause. And as the world awakens to that unstoppable force, the price will adjust, not to $150,000 because of hype, but because that's what true scarcity demands in a world drowning in paper promises. So as the tide rises, remember this: every era has its defining moment. This is ours. And when the dust settles, history will remember those who saw the signal amidst the noise, who chose conviction over confusion, and who had the courage to bet on the truth. There comes a moment in every financial revolution when the noise becomes deafening, the temptations unbearable, and the fear overwhelming. That moment separates the disciplined from the desperate, the patient from the reckless, and the visionary from the gambler. The path to generational wealth is never smooth. It is paved with volatility, chaos, and confusion. Yet within that storm lies opportunity, so vast that only those with brutal clarity and unwavering conviction can seize it. Bitcoin's ascent to $150,000 will not be a gentle climb. It will be violent, unpredictable, and merciless. And in that chaos, 99% of participants will destroy themselves, not because Bitcoin failed, but because they did. People mistake volatility for risk. But volatility is not the enemy. It is the heartbeat of transformation. Risk lies in ignorance and emotional decision-making and following the herd. The majority will chase candles, trade leverage, and dance at the edge of liquidation because they crave instant gratification. They will convince themselves they are investors while behaving like gamblers in a casino. They will forget the fundamental truth. Wealth is built not by timing markets, but by surviving them. When the correction comes, and it always does, those who misunderstood the game will vanish. The brutal clarity required here is to understand that Bitcoin rewards conviction and punishes weakness. It tests your patience, your understanding, your emotional endurance. Every drawdown, every crash, every red candle is a mirror. It reveals who is in control of their mind and who is not. The ones who survive are not necessarily the smartest. They are the most disciplined. They know that every dip is a transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient. They know that panic selling in fear is the same as surrendering your future to someone else's conviction. When Bitcoin surges to $150,000, many will feel invincible. They will think they've cracked the code. They will take excessive risk, borrow against their holdings, and leverage to multiply their greed. And that is when the market will humble them, because the higher the price climbs, the more unforgiving the system becomes. Bitcoin doesn't reward arrogance, it destroys it. The same wave that lifts disciplined holders to freedom will drown those who built their portfolios on emotion. True risk management isn't about avoiding danger, it's about understanding it. It's about positioning yourself so that no single event can destroy you. It's holding enough to change your life, but never so much that it ends it. It's about understanding that wealth without wisdom is a ticking bomb. The whales understand this. They don't chase tops. They accumulate quietly, consistently, when fear dominates the market. They let the crowd chase the mirage while they build real, lasting positions when the crash comes. They don't panic. They buy when euphoria peaks. They don't celebrate. They prepare. The 99% will not be destroyed by Bitcoin. They will be destroyed by their own behavior around Bitcoin. They will buy high, sell low, repeat endlessly, and blame the asset instead of themselves. They will be seduced by influencers, misled by false prophets, and blinded by greed. They will forget that this is not a game, it's a generational wealth revolution. You cannot treat it like a lottery ticket and expect to emerge as a winner. This demands the mindset of a builder, not a gambler. The reward is immense, but it's not free. You must earn it through conviction, patience, and clarity. You must be willing to endure the crashes, the disbelief, the ridicule. You must watch others lose faith while you hold firm. That's what separates the legends from the crowd. Every correction, every crash, every moment of panic. These are not punishments, they are tests. Each one is a filter designed to eliminate the weak hands and transfer wealth to those who understand what they hold. The brutal truth is this: there is no shortcut. There is no easy path to $50,000. The volatility that scares the masses is the same force that builds fortunes. The reward exists precisely because the risk is real. If it were easy, the reward would be gone. That's how markets work, how progress unfolds. Bitcoin doesn't need to promise comfort. It delivers freedom to those strong enough to endure discomfort. The discipline required here is almost spiritual. You must detach from emotion, from greed, from noise. You must focus not on price, but on purpose. The purpose is clear: to preserve energy, to escape the tyranny of inflation, to own something no one can print or confiscate. When you understand that, the short-term price swings lose meaning. The only real risk is failing to see the bigger picture, failing to stay in the game long enough for your conviction to be rewarded. The next phase will be brutal. Weak hands will be shaken out. Those who traded with emotion will vanish. But for the few who understand, who hold with clarity and conviction, the reward will be extraordinary. They will emerge not just richer, but freer. They will have endured the storm and earned their place in the new financial order. And when the dust settles, when Bitcoin stands tall above $150,000, they will know that the true victory wasn't just financial, it was mental. It was the triumph of discipline over chaos, clarity over confusion, conviction over fear. In every great financial revolution, there are those who see before others can even begin to imagine. They move silently, deliberately, without seeking attention. They don't announce their intentions on social media, and they don't follow trends. They create them. These are the whales, the silent architects of the next monetary era. While the crowd argues about price targets and short-term swings, the whales are executing a strategy that has nothing to do with hype and everything to do with mathematics, liquidity, and inevitability. They understand one fundamental truth: markets are mechanisms of wealth transfer from the impatient to the patient. from the emotional to the strategic. When fear consumes the majority, whales accumulate. When euphoria blinds the crowd, whales distribute. They aren't driven by greed or panic. They're driven by data. They read the blockchain the way a seasoned general reads the battlefield. Every movement of liquidity, every on-chain transfer, every inflow and outflow from exchanges tells a story, and the story they see today is simple. Bitcoin is being vacuumed up by strong hands while retail traders are distracted by the noise of speculation. You can't hear them, but you can see their fingerprints all over the market. Exchange balances are shrinking. Long-term holders are at record highs. Addresses that have been dormant for years are reawakening to move assets into cold storage, signaling conviction, not uncertainty. These are not the behaviors of gamblers. They are the movements of entities who know that something massive is brewing. The whales are not trading Bitcoin. They are acquiring sovereignty, privacy, and energy security in digital form. They are playing the longest game on Earth. The crowd obsesses over daily charts, but the whales are reading the entire monetary cycle. They know that every halving event compresses supply while global demand continues to expand. They understand that every regulatory headline is noise compared to the unstoppable math of scarcity. While others panic about short-term volatility, they are asking how many satoshis can be secured before the next supply shock hits. Their horizon isn't weeks or months, it's decades. They know this network will eventually absorb trillions of dollars of value, and they intend to be positioned before the world wakes up. The term smart money isn't about intelligence. It's about discipline and timing. Smart money doesn't chase, it anticipates. It builds when others are asleep and retreats when others are intoxicated by greed. That's why the whales are always ahead. They don't fight emotion with emotion, they fight emotion with structure. They understand that accumulation during fear is how fortunes are built. They welcome the downturns because every correction offers them cheaper access to the hardest asset in history. When the market crashes, retail sees disaster, whales see clearance sales. They buy when others capitulate because they know that fear always sells at a discount. When the market pumps, retail sees opportunity, whales see distribution, they sell into euphoria and wait for the next cycle to repeat. This isn't luck, it's precision. They have accepted that human psychology is predictable. The masses oscillate between greed and fear, while the disciplined few extract value from that oscillation over and over again. Every on-chain signal right now echoes the same pattern seen before. Every major Bitcoin rally, exchange reserves are falling, indicating coins are leaving the market supply. Wallets holding over 1,000 BTC are steadily growing. Whales are transferring their holdings into self-custody, locking them away where no panic, regulation, or crash can touch them. These are not short-term traders, they are long-term architects. They understand that each Bitcoin removed from circulation tightens supply and amplifies future price movement. The whales also understand liquidity dynamics. They know that as institutional capital flows into Bitcoin ETFs, as sovereign funds begin to allocate, the available supply on the open market will shrink to near extinction. They are front-running inevitability. They don't need to time the top. They just need to own enough before the world realizes there's nothing left to buy. That's the game. That's the signal. The rest of the world refuses to see until it's too late. And the irony is that the whales aren't hiding. Their behavior is transparent, visible to anyone who cares to look. But most people don't look. They're too caught up in speculation and narratives and fear. The data is there, on-chain flows, HADL waves, supply concentration metrics, all revealing the quiet consolidation by those who know exactly what they're doing. There's a reason the same entities win every cycle. It's not manipulation, it's mastery. They understand Bitcoin as a thermodynamic system, a conversion of energy into digital property. They treat it like digital real estate, not a trading ticker. While others rent exposure, they buy the land. While others panic over volatility, they measure how much digital territory they've secured for the next century. When Bitcoin surges to $150,000, the crowd will call it luck, manipulation, or madness. But the whales will know it was inevitable. They didn't predict the future, they simply prepared for it. They watched the signals, they read the flows, and they acted before the headlines, because that's what smart money does. It doesn't react, it positions. And when the dust settles, when retail traders are liquidated and influencers are silent, the whales will still be there, quiet, patient, holding the future in cold storage. They won't celebrate, they won't brag, they'll simply wait for the next phase of adoption to unfold, because they know something most people don't. In the long game of monetary evolution, time is the ultimate leverage and conviction is the rarest asset of all. There comes a moment when information is no longer enough, when the charts, the debates, the analysis all fade into background noise. What matters then is action. Because in every financial revolution, those who wait for certainty arrive too late. The world does not reward hesitation, it rewards conviction. And in this moment, as the foundations of our monetary system tremble, the call to action is clear. Position yourself wisely, educate yourself relentlessly, and hold your conviction as if your life depends on it, because your financial future does. You can't outsource understanding. No institution, no influencer, no government can think for you. The only protection in this new era is knowledge, real, deep, unshakable knowledge. You must learn what money truly is, how it loses value, and why Bitcoin stands as the only incorruptible alternative. The average person still believes wealth is created through luck or timing. They chase headlines, not principles. But the truth is simple. Wealth is preserved through education and conviction. The people who survive the coming storm will be those who understand what they own and why they own it. Positioning isn't about going all in. It's about being intelligently exposed to the future. You don't need to gamble to win. You need to build a position that aligns with your time horizon and your risk tolerance, then defend it with discipline. Most people fail because they think short term. They see Bitcoin as a trade, not as a transformation. They measure success in weeks, not decades. But the ones who truly win are those who think in centuries, not seconds. They understand that the hardest money ever created demands the hardest patience ever practiced. This is not the time for noise. This is the time for precision. Position yourself where the future is heading, not where the crowd is standing. The crowd will always arrive late. They always do. They mock what they don't understand, and they buy what they fear of missing. You must do the opposite. When they are panicking, you accumulate. When they are euphoric, you pause. That's the rhythm of those who endure. Because positioning isn't about reacting, it's about anticipating. It's about aligning yourself with the inevitable truth that Bitcoin is not just another asset, it's the next monetary layer of civilization. Education is your armor. Every hour you spend studying monetary history, blockchain fundamentals, and economic cycles adds a layer of protection between you and the chaos of markets. Most people are destroyed not by volatility, but by ignorance. They don't understand what they hold, so they surrender it at the first sign of fear. The educated mind doesn't flinch. It calculates. It recognizes opportunity disguised as crisis. Every crash becomes a gift, every correction a chance to strengthen conviction. Because once you understand that Bitcoin is energy transformed into incorruptible property, every dip feels like discounted freedom. Conviction is the rarest asset in the world. It cannot be bought. It must be built slowly, deliberately, through study, experience, and pain. Conviction is what allows you to hold when others fold. It's what keeps your hands steady when the market screams chaos. It's the internal compass that guides you through uncertainty. Without conviction, you're just a leaf in the wind, blown by every headline, every tweet, every price swing. But with conviction, you become immovable, a fortress of patience in a storm of panic. Understand this: the next bull run will not make everyone rich. It will expose who truly understood and who merely copied. The uneducated will take profit too soon or lose it all chasing leverage. The educated will quietly hold, watching the market play out exactly as they expected. They will know that wealth doesn't come from trading emotion. It comes from holding truth. The call to action is not to speculate. It's to prepare. Build your foundation now. Learn custody, learn self-sovereignty, learn discipline. Stop outsourcing responsibility for your financial destiny. No one will save you when fiat collapses, when inflation eats away your savings, when the system resets. Only you can save yourself through understanding, through conviction, through courage. Every era produces two kinds of people: those who wait for permission and those who act with purpose. The first group will always say, "I wish I had bought earlier." The second group will say, "I understood what was coming." The difference is not luck, it's preparation. The difference is not timing, it's conviction. So position yourself today. Educate yourself like your freedom depends on it, because it does. Build conviction so strong that no volatility can shake it. Don't wait for the world to understand before you act. By the time they understand, it will be too late. You stand at the edge of the greatest monetary transition in human history. The question is no longer whether it will happen. The question is whether you'll be prepared when it does. The signal is clear. The opportunity is here. The time is now.